Yeah, interesting. So you're from Tennessee.
I am. Yeah.
What brought you here, and how do you think this country has changed you in any way?
So, my dad had been coming out here elk and deer hunting for several years before I came out. I graduated high school and started putting in for house and coming with him. I liked the country, and it was always a conversation on the way home. Boy, I could live there, me and Dad talking. I was working in the coal mines back in Tennessee, strip mines, stripping coal. Coal prices fell. We had a hunt that year. I drew a deer tag. Came out hunting, and we'd met some people. They'd let us stay at their house. When we'd get into town, get a nice hot shower before we'd go to camp hunt for a week. Before we'd come home, we'd stay the night at their house and clean up good before we'd go on home. Got to visiting with them. They said, well, the oil field's picking up a bit. You ought to think about turning in some applications here. Went to camp, hunted for a couple of days, but having much luck. So came on back to town, actually turned in some applications, and that would have been in November. And the following July, a company called and wanted to know when I could come in for an interview. God, I was flat broke. I said, you're gonna have to do the interview over the phone. I don't have enough money to even get there. I'll have to sell some stuff to even get there.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough, they did the interview over the phone for me. Told me I had the job, give me a week to get all my stuff in order. Sold some cows, got enough money to scrap together to get here. Ended up staying with those friends of mine for a little while until I could put enough money together. I bought a camper, lived down it for 8 months, and then I bought this place.
Nice. And what were you hunting with dogs in Tennessee?
I started out with beagles. I had a football coach. I don't know, I was 7 or 8 years old. I had a football coach that was big on rabbit hunting. Kind of took me under his wing as far as that goes. My dad never did do much hunting at the time back home. He was hunting out here a little bit. Man, I fell in love with it. It wasn't long. I got me 1 or 2, bred those, and got more and more and more. Next thing you know, I had a whole kennel full of them little suckers.
That's why you were broke.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to high school and I started chasing other things instead of rabbits.
Yeah.
So I actually, when I moved out here, I didn't have any dogs at the time, but man, them beagles were sure a lot of fun.
How do you think those beagles would do on bears and lions here?
Well, I've actually got a beagle. I learned my kennel. Some friends of mine in Nevada, Cleveland, Becky Dwyer, Bull Creek Outfitters, they've actually got a few. They breed those beagles into their hounds to get a smaller dog. Becky had a litter, 100% pure beagles, offered me one back in 2017. I brought her home. Man, she was a trailing little fool. I showed her some coons and feral cats. We get a lot of feral cats in this country, and that's kind of how we trained her pups. And man, she was a trailing little fool, so started bear and lion hunting with her. She's caught lion on her own. I've got video of her right in a bear's face, baying a bear on the ground. She weighs, and I know this because I took her to the vet the other day, but she's a whopping 26 pounds.
She's what, like about 12 inches tall? She's not very big at all.
Well, going back to my roots, my beagle days, I'd say she's closer to that 15-inch.
Really? Okay, but she's little for a dog, right?
She's pretty small.
But she looks spicy.
But she don't have a lick of fear in her. She like I say, she's caught lion on her own before, and I've never had her quit a bear race or nothing. She's right there in the middle of it.
And so you moved out here, and obviously you like it, I think.
Yeah. So I moved out here and went back to the beagles. I squirrel hunting one day and run across this feller. He had a little mountain feist. Carrying a shotgun, and I said, what are you hunting? He said he was squirrel hunting. And that little mountain feist and 3 of them squirrels. So anyways, we got to be friends. I started tagging along with him. It wasn't long I was dragging a mountain feist home. I don't know, my mom and dad. It's a miracle they didn't throw me out with all the dogs, but I was constantly dragging another dog home. But, I got into that, the mountain feist, tree and squirrels. That was a lot of fun. Had a blue tick, coon hunted a little bit. Ended up moving out here. in town that I knew. We never caught no line, but boy, I sure had a blast doing it.
Mm.
Tried to get him to help me and get some dogs, and boy, he did not want me to get no dogs.
Really?
He tried every way in the world to talk me out of it. Oh, you could be
Yeah.
it. But I like tinkering with old rifles. I'm not a gunsmith by no means. I've probably forgot more than I remember now, but he tried to get me to take some gunsmithing classes and take up fly fishing, and take up bow fishing, and everything in the world to keep me from getting dogs. There's an old man at home named Paul Linkus, and he sells batteries, every battery known to man, anything from a watch battery all the way up to a battery for a bulldozer, just out of his house there. That's where we've always bought batteries for years, me and my family. Coming off a farm, we'd buy 5 or 6 batteries a year. My dad was in there one day and he asked about me. That's, well, he's wanting to get into bear and lion hunting, but he can't find nobody to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Paul said, well, give him this number, have him call and tell him I told him to call. Well, I get the number and it's Van Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I knew of Van, but I didn't know him or know much about him. So I called him up, he didn't answer, left him a voicemail. He had about as much time to listen to the voicemail and pick 3 dogs. And he was calling me back. 3 or 4 days later, I was headed to Cortez to go hunting with Van. I bought 2 finished dogs and 2 pups, and that's kind of how it all got started. It sure growed from there.
What do you think? It seems like, luckily I get to meet a lot of good hound hunters, but I've met my share of, grumpy old assholes really. And I never understood it because it's sort of like the fear of other people moving in on your area and competing with you. Is that something that you feel acutely? Like if you wouldn't want to take a young guy out because you think he's gonna impede on your hunting?
Absolutely not. If one of my guides came to me today and said, hey, I want to get my outfitter license, the way New Mexico works, you've got to show proof that you guided for an outfitter for 3 years before you can get an outfitter license.
Mm-hmm.
So the proof is trip itineraries with their names on it, and then it doesn't even have to be a letter of recommendation. It just has to be a letter from the outfitter saying, yes, so-and-so guided for me for X amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
If one of my guides came to me today and said, hey, I want to get my guide license or outfitter license, I'd help him any way I could.
Yeah. That's quite a step above even, I think, taking out a young hunter and setting them up with dogs. That's directly competition for your profession.
Yep, and as far as, there ain't nothing I like more than taking a young guy out that's never been around dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Van hadn't have took me and helped me all he did, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And not just Van, there's some other people and I've been pretty blessed to hunt with some good hound men. We may disagree on things now, styles of hunting and business related things, but that's what's molded me into the way I hunt now and the way I conduct my outfitting business is getting to hunt with these other guys. And I'm not saying they're not good at what they do, because they are.
Mm-hmm.
Just because 2 people disagree on something doesn't mean that they gotta be enemies.
Yeah, no, definitely, maybe they're just doing it differently than you would, but it's equally good. Or sometimes it's not. Sometimes you say, this person, I don't like how they hunt, or I don't like how they behave, but you can learn more from those instances of the bad sometimes than you do from watching someone who's a model for the good.
Absolutely. And like I say, I learned a lot from them, no doubt. And they've helped me a bunch, whether they know it or not. They've helped me a bunch over the years. But, there was a young guy out of Arizona. He was a kid, wanted a hound pup. And I had a litter of pups, and that female rolled over on one of them pups and hurt his leg. And I didn't think that dog would ever hunt. I just give him to that kid. And they're right there on that Sholo Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And every night that kid and his dad would go down there and try to trail coons, and they were trapping coons in live cages and whatever. Got that dog to coon hunting pretty good. Next thing you know, I think I talked to Mike the other night. I think they're up to 9 hounds. And, that one crippled up pup took him from just wanting a hound dog for a pet to having a whole kennel full of bear and lion dogs, and they do a phenomenal job. I think Jake's getting kind of busy with football and probably chasing a few girls now, but Mike's still hunting quite a bit, and I I would like to think Jake will keep hunting once he gets out of school and slows down a bit.
Yeah.
I sure do enjoy taking kids.
Yeah, I think that community is part of, I've made some good friends through hound hunting and just met a lot of interesting people, and it's crazy sometimes the people who, I got a couple old crusty friends who, they don't talk to people at the gas station, they ask, strangers ask, oh, you going out hound hunting? And they go, no, those dogs are, I'm gonna go shoot them out in the desert or whatever they say. And I don't know, man, I guess it's coming from experience for them and having had bad experiences with people, but I just can't be like that because being open to people has brought me so many good experiences as well as the bad ones that it far outweighs the bad ones for me so far.
I think everybody can judge people to a certain extent. Some people may be better at it than others, but I think if you run across somebody you don't know, you just get a bad feeling, don't run from them, but just keep it in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
There's something off here. I think you need to give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Until they prove you otherwise.
Yeah, and then it happens and you just move on, right?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I think part of being a good hunter and a good person is that you're not scared of that, being messed up with, because you're still gonna hunt and you're still gonna get it done.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, they can't affect you.
Yep. Yeah, Van made a comment one time that he made a pretty good living hunting behind people. And on the lion side of it, leaving at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, that's a little different, because you're actually physically looking for the track to turn out on. Versus bear hunting, a lot of these guys are leaving camp at 2 or 3 in the morning and rigging all morning long. That's fine. I'm gonna leave camp 30 minutes before daylight. I'm gonna rig bear behind them. That's something I learned from Van. Why make yourself miserable all morning? It's different if you're struggling to find a bear. You may need to leave a little earlier so you can cover more country, but if you're finding a bear, why leave at 2 or 3 in the morning? Have to sit on a track for 3 or 4 hours before you can turn out on it. I'm gonna sleep in a little bit, leave 30 minutes before daylight. I'll rig a bear behind them that moved since they come through.